morning. Morning. How are you? Comment allez-vous? Hi, my name is Wayne. I'm the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. Thank you very much for being a client. Thank you very much for coming to the webinar today. Thank you very much for subscribing to the Forex.Today YouTube channel. Thank you to Forex.Today for hosting us. Thank you for all you do. Seems like there should be a show tune. Thank you for all you do. Something like that. I don't know. Yeah, but thank you. Good morning. Today I thought we'd cover Forex. I thought we'd cover technical and fundamental analysis. Maybe some trader psychology, whatever you need, whatever you want. I am here for you. Comment allez-vous? I'm starting to get some gray hair, huh? Dang. Anywho. Cello, cello, cello. So anyways, hey, good morning. Please visit TradersWay.com, open an account today. Fixed spread, variable spread, ECN, whatever you want. Step 2, download MT4 from your back office at Traders Way. Then come back to this video, and in the description below, you will find a link to all my chart templates so that your charts will then look like this. Cool. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Mangesh, how was my Hindi? Anyways, I'm worn out with math, man. I'm dreaming the sum of squares. Y hat equals beta naught times the slope of x1. What? Getting sick of it. Anyways, cool. So let's move on.com. Let me get my little handy dandy notebook. Okay, so what's going on in general? Sort of topping out, right? Topping out. Don't know what this one's doing, topping out. Pretty amazing. Double tops at pivot highs. Cool, double top of a double top. Okay. I think we had this one, I think we've had this one as a counter trend trade, didn't we? Didn't we say it was going to come back to the weekly central? I think so. I'm up early these days? How so? But anyways, I want to remind you, even if we didn't talk about it, I'm pretty sure we would have, just knowing myself, but that's hitting the target early in the week, and when you hit that on a Monday or Tuesday, you have a permission to consider a counter trend trade in which you would get back to the central pivot. That's interesting. And then once it gets there, I don't know if it's going to go up or down. I don't know. I don't discern any particular pattern. Cool. And then, oh, I did, yeah, as a boot, right on. Seems like something we would have done on Monday or Tuesday, but anyways. Oh, really? All right, cool. So now, thing is, do you believe this as being a top? Well, back here on, it was actually Sunday afternoon for me. The projected aggressive high for the week was this number right here, back here. That's what pivot points tell me. This whole area was a buy with a target of here. Cool. So even if that's a random walk and a coincidence, I have to think that a lot of bulls would have gotten out of the market because that was the plan on Sunday. So A, that's technical analysis using pivot point strategy. But B, I think the bigger part of what I'm trying to share with you is that these guys had a plan and they carried it out. They did their job. This is what traders do. You never know if you're going to be right or wrong, but you have to have a strategy and the tactics to carry out the strategy properly. That was done. And I don't think it was one dude trading the pound. So a lot of people did their jobs properly. And yet amateurs don't do that, right? And even on the weekly basis, I think you could argue that this is a weekly plan right here as well. And knowing that it hit the target so early, we said it would have a dramatic pullback, right? And then these guys just happen to try again for whatever reason. And we know there's votes going on and stuff like that. So even though this is the pound and the thing is kind of crazy with all the geopolitical risks, so to speak, around Brexit, this is trading incredibly technically. That makes sense? Cool. Okay, so again, let's identify some key levels. They're important psychologically. This is for the month. This is the buy zone. Now we started the month perfectly on the sell. So there was a time that we definitely had bears here. Okay. Now, then we get down to here. This is definitely for multiple reasons a buy zone. Multiple reasons a buy zone. So I would identify this as sideways until you get a break, which means when you get closer to the top than the bottom, so like in this area where we are now, you should consider this as the next playbook. You should not assume a break to the upside. And that's just how you trade a range. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And maybe in this scenario, you use an oscillator to help you measure the rollover. I prefer stochastics, and I speed stochastics up because I like it to be more sensitive. Which quagmire? Quigley quagmire? They're triplets, you know. We'll call them twins. Look how beautiful that was for so long. Remember this? Up, 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 down, roll reversal, up, 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 up. Gorgeous price action. Gorgeous. Cool. So let's give it a couple of clicks in. Pound Swissy. The month started on a bearish sell zone. Worked down to, this would have been, well, this is the weekly buy right here. Actually, it's slightly higher. So this is a weekly buy inside a monthly buy. So you get, I guess we'll do it this way. This is the double buy zone. Okay. Okay. Now, nothing on this chart tells you it's going to go up. So you can't look at this and say, because of this, it will go up. But if you want it to go up, this is where you look for your opportunities. This is a monthly basis. This is a weekly basis. And then you start looking for evidence using technical analysis to confirm or deny your buy. And of course, with an extra click out, we know this is also a roll reversal. So that makes you feel really nice inside. Okay, again, this is your monthly buy. And this is your weekly buy. And you can't see that. All right. Well, anyways. Cool. So, is it going to go farther up? Well, this is going to be a tricky question. First of all, this is the projected high for the week, and we've nailed that twice. And it also seems to be like technical analysis, roll reversal, right? And did we spike up and hit this? Looks like it, huh? So what is this going to mean? So we have to back up. Thank you, Robert. Welcome to the team. Okay. So now what do you want to do? It doesn't look that good. Doesn't look that good. So remember, you're not forced to trade this, but what we prefer to see it as a trend trader is something like this. A double top along the way, especially at a projected resistance zone, is just not that helpful. It doesn't say, oh, obviously. Oh, obviously. So it's a little disappointing. But I couldn't be a bear here, right? I could be a bear up here. I couldn't be a bear here, so I suppose you have a chance at that and maybe higher, but you don't have to trade that. It's one of these things, like I look at it and I think, do you have to trade every day? Do you have to only look at one currency pair? Well, if you looked at only one currency pair and you had to trade or not trade Pound Swissy, I'd be more inclined to buy it than sell it and maybe even walk. So yeah, I'm slightly more bullish than neutral. But I'd also like low-hanging fruit and make easy money. I'm not entirely sure that still exists, right? So again, I think the lowest hanging fruit is if you were a bear, this was a great sell. You would have sold it in here and taken a walk. You just would have walked. Would have taken you a week. You would have been up 150 pips or something. And this area here is where you're going to be challenged, right? We know that because we know if we were a bull, we'd buy it there. That's the whole point. That line is there. So if you're a bear, this is where you're going to be challenged and you got whooped here. So you're definitely not in. Maybe you made some money. Maybe you broke even. I don't think you would have lost money if you were up 100 to 150 pips or whatever it is. So you got knocked out. It didn't work this week. Boo-hoo, right? So, and what about bulls? Well, this is by definition a bull area, so you would have bought it down here. And did you survive this whipsaw? You know, I don't know if you did. Or did you buy it here and get out at R2? Now, that's what I teach you to do. Right? I teach you to say, hey, man, if you're long here, you get out here. Don't worry if it goes higher. It doesn't matter. On the long run, the law of averages takes care of all this noise up here. What you want to avoid is the deep crash where you give up 50% of your profit because you didn't take profit. So it just comes down to, what do we do now? Well, bears sold it here and probably made a little money. Probably were disappointed. Bulls bought it here, made money, but they made it too fast and probably are a little bit disappointed. And now who's in the game? I don't know, whatever your guess is, right? Your guess is as good as mine, but I guess it's still a little, it's more bullish than bearish, I guess. Is that fair? But I think bears can argue this double top. So that's where I get like, now what's left? Are we arguing over this zone here? Right? Cool. Look at this one. Gorgeous. Okay, let's go back to here. This is a weekly buy zone. This was the target. This was the weekly, no, this was the weekly buy zone. The target was up here. So maybe you got it and lasted a day and then what, knocked out? No, that's fine. Here's the weekly buy zone. Here's the target. So like you made money 2 weeks ago, probably broke even last week. You made money this week. Great. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 66% win rate. Remember, we said if you use a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio and you lose 66% of the time, you will break even. So what happens if you're plus 66%? You're good. Morning, Alejandro. So we got to get you there. Better trades, better trade setups, better risk reward ratios. Let your winners run a little more. And all of a sudden you'll see the stats. The stats are going to start to work in your favor. And you'll find that your money is working for you. And that's when you're going to be really happy. Okay. I don't want to even look at this. Scary Larry. Although this, I guess the one thing to say is this giant area up here is the monthly sell zone. But, you know, this stuff isn't your clean cut, plain vanilla technical analysis, right? So. Is that right, Jimbo? Right on, man. So anyways, stuff going on there. To me, I don't know. Yeah, it's there. Well, I don't generally trade US dollar versus Japanese yen because of macro. And even if I did, that has the lowest average daily range. The last time I looked at an average daily range. But it's actually a pretty good carry now with the US, you know, paying way over 2. And Japan actually chipping in with slightly negative, right? So it's actually a pretty okay carry trade. But I don't typically look at it for a trading opportunity. I just use it for analysis. Hey, do professional traders use monthly pivot points when they trade the Mexican peso? Remember, if you answer it, and particularly if you answer it out loud, you're training your brain to remember these things. See, if you say it out loud, it's silly, especially if there's someone around you. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're at home, maybe you're at Starbucks. But if you say, yes, institutional traders use pivot points from trading Mexican peso, it's silly to say it out loud, and it's embarrassing. But that gets programmed into your brain because of the emotion. That's just one element of saying it out loud. Plus, you also hear it, and you use your language part of your brain, not just the intellect part of your brain, not just the, all that kind of stuff. So to actually say it out loud is more important than you probably would imagine. Just want to point that out. Euro dollar, plan A and plan B. Plan A never had a chance. Plan B, yeah. Let's remind ourselves what plan B is. Seems reasonable. Looking for a drop. So we got the pullback and we got the first leg. So what if we get a second leg? Then that would be that. Stock market would be falling for that to happen. Nokia I used to trade as a substitute for Brent. Denmark I haven't traded in a long time. Seek and destroy. Well, the thing is, they used to behave differently, Alex. Let's say 9 or 10 years ago. So I traded them more back then. But now, no. Not against it. But like when I'm done with school, I'm going to offer portfolios for people to invest in, and I may have an exotic portfolio. I might have, I don't know what you'd call that one, a Nordic portfolio, although I wouldn't do the Czech. Or is it Scandinavian with Denmark? I think it's Scandinavian, not Nordic. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm not against them. I'd trade them together, but they share their own sort of macro, right? They're smaller economies. Like Norway has oil, Denmark doesn't have oil. So, anyways, but yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But I want to focus on majors, right? I traded a Bitcoin, actually 3 Bitcoins yesterday for the first time. I thought that was interesting. Bitcoin, it was interesting, man. It was really interesting. What an interesting thing. I had 3 Bitcoins. It's weird. Then I sold them. Pachow, gone. Just pure liquidity. It was great. Never done that before. I'd go through the process of opening up all the different things you need to do that, but it was interesting. I looked at it, 5 billion, I think, a day in turnover. I mean, that's nothing compared to 5 trillion. No, it was more than that, wasn't it? 9.2 billion in turnover per day. So it's got some liquidity and stuff. It was just very interesting. Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons. Yeah, so when you're trading, basically cash, you don't really want volatility and stuff. But yeah, it was really slow, right? But in that case, it was fine because. But I admit, it was pretty exciting. I have 3 Bitcoin. Yeah. It's just interesting. I have a lot more to learn about it, but it's just interesting. But the part I thought was crazy interesting was to have 3 Bitcoin. And then I'm like, okay, I want to sell the Bitcoin for cash. So I go sell. Boom. All right, it's sold. Huh. So now I got this cash. I'm like, okay, withdraw cash. Pachow. Pachow. It's in my bank account. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was like, no joke. It was, I saw it in my account like within a minute or two. If it was a wire, it would have taken 3 days. It was just really interesting. Just a really fascinating thing, blockchain. Can we look at gold? Oh, sure. Let's do gold. Gold! Here we are. So not a lot has changed. Okay. Bears had their opportunity. This is already done, but we already talked about it early in the week. So here on Monday, do you remember? We had the double bottom, higher high, 1, 2, 3 off of a roll reversal, which also happens to be M2, which means the target is M4, which is right here. So I will redo it. Based on this entry, this was our target, and we had that on Monday. So you're already out if you're a bull. Jimmy, it was just a Coinbase account. All right. So that's that. Did anybody trade this? This is our Monday plan. We had multiple reasons on top of multiple reasons why that was a buy, and that this was the exact price. What is that? 113.10. Sir, what is your view on gold? We're doing gold. Is there like a 20-minute lag? I don't know. I mean, there must be. This is gold. I'm giving you my opinion as we speak. Interesting though. All right. So now what? All right. So whoever did this trade plan may be out here. Oh, okay, good. Hey, you're welcome. It's just, you must have just come in or something. All right, so now what? If you wanted to try again, you basically either redo the trade plan you already did, which I don't like doing. So really what you're looking for is roll reversal off of that if you're a bull. I'll caution you though, because this was our previous range, and this whole thing is going to be resistance. So often what happens, okay, and I want you to remember this, we just set up a shop in a new range. So there's more than reasonable chance all we do now is we do this for a while. Okay, so let me take some of that off. So if you're a bear, you have full permission to think about this as a range, okay? Well, see, the problem is buy it again at monthly S1. Well, first of all, monthly S1 is never really a buy. That just happens to be the 1, 2, 3. So you notice that it didn't really kick off the monthly S1. I don't do much action on S1. Monthly S1 is for stop losses, not entries, right? So, yeah, you could. I don't think that's the reason why it'd go up. The second thing is I hate, and I mean it, I don't hate much. I'm a lover. So I hate doing the same trade plan twice. So even if you did say buy this, even if you did say to yourself buy this at the monthly S1, why the heck would we do it again in the same week? Because by definition, you're applying a trend strategy to something by definition is not trending. You cannot retrace 100% and still call it a trend. So if you went from here down to here and then here again, I'm not saying it ain't going to work. I'm saying I would not like it. I would not like it. I would rather wait for a Friday swing, a Friday front run. Okay. Thank you, Robert. Welcome to the team. Welcome, Linus. Welcome to the team. Thank you for subscribing, guys. I did about average. I didn't do as well as I would have liked, but I did what I averaged when I gave myself practice exams and stuff. But Harvard is funny. It's a competition. Like I've actually done midterm and final exams that were impossible to complete. I'm not saying this was like that. But the reasoning is it's competition like life is competition, right? So Harvard, in many cases, if not most cases, says, look, we have an absolute score. We could say anyone that gets 97% gets an A, but nobody's going to get 97% on this test. So it's like they lock all the students in a room with razor blades. Last man standing gets an A. Okay, so it's kind of like that. You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your fellow classmates, and you won't get eaten by the bear. So anyways, that's Harvard. Ruthless. You know, that whole elite stuff. How about aiming for monthly pivot point since it was early in the month? Oh, yeah, that's definitely part of the plan. We've already covered that early last week. This is here, and that's why this is up. Okay, it's sort of like I'm looking at this. So I think if you're a bull now, you're going to kind of look at it like probably down and then probably snap back kind of thing. Harvard is not in Atlanta. No, it's in Cambridge. No. Although Atlanta has like Emory and Georgia Tech, and then there's some elite African American universities, and I think an elite women's university. Might be African American Women's University. What is it? Spelman? What's the other one? But anyway, some really good African American universities. Not being African American, I don't know much about them. But anyways, a few good universities. The Dalai Lama is on the faculty of Emory University, so if you want to take a class on how to market your university, Emory would be it. So CAD has been a fave of late. Morehouse. Spellman and Morehouse, thank you. Yeah, I didn't mean any disrespect. Those are some big names. You know, I think if I was African American, I think it'd be very interesting to get an African American education to say that to teach you how to survive in a non-African American world. I think is interesting to not be the black guy in the room, but to be a student and how to survive society, how to survive the world, all that kind of stuff. It must be amazing skills. Um, and I don't have a lot of African American friends, but I have a couple. And these guys are like kick ass, hardcore, super intelligent, super smart, super hardworking guys. Like, man, can you imagine being surrounded by thousands of, right? That'd be me. That'd be cool. Top notch, huge leaders in their, they both work in finance as well, so they make good money. So anyways, these are good guys, but, and they go to Harvard. Not as much as I would like infinite solutions, but with all the stuff I'm doing, it's really difficult. This is why you see, like, I'm like worn out and all tired and stuff. Like even doing Bitcoin yesterday, setting it all up took a whole day and stuff. So it's hard. I'm doing lots of things, and it's very difficult. But the thing is, not only does trading pay such good money, I really like it. Like I like it. Like I miss it if I'm not doing enough of it, right? So what I do is I went from scalping and spot trading almost exclusively to almost exclusively daily, weekly, and monthly swing trading. Yes, Andrew, we got it. Spellman and Morehouse, yeah. Imagine the education is just awesome. Yeah, well, whatever, Ed. We're trying to make society better, and it takes a while to re-educate everybody. It takes time, man. All right. Is that right, Afro? Yeah, well, because they're not American, right? No, that makes sense. So anyways, this came off hard and fast. Check that out, huh? So what do we know about this? One, it's an R2, and if you hit R2, you must take profit. And two, if you hit R2 early in the period, and this is the month, so it hit like the 4th day of the month. If that happens, it'll come down hard and fast on profit taking. Okay. And look what happened. 1, 2, 3, 4 straight down red days. Now we're in a roll reversal, and you might be considering a front run back up to this area, which gets us probably an R2 double top. But beautiful technical analysis. Beautiful, right? Look at this. Here's the entry, remember? Do you remember at the end of the month? The last day of the month talking about this? The first day of the month talking about this? Based on this, right? Here's our target. And then because you hit that target, the aggressive target, so early, you know it's coming down hard and fast, and it did. And so now if you want to try it again, you can consider a role reversal. So it's just moving like ridiculously technical. Beautiful. So to have a role reversal kind of play set up here, gorgeous. Gorgeous! Jimbo, typically, yes. Yeah, I'd say almost exclusively, Jimbo, yeah. Well, the thing is this the Saudi cut? No, it's R2. Okay, that's all. Now, on Monday, I did talk about it, right? Monday morning, I talked about Saudi Arabia, and I don't recall where I got the data, so you'd have to look it up, but I believe I said we went from 11 million barrels a day, that they're cutting back as low as 7, depending on the day, million barrels per day. Okay, but they're dramatically cutting. So it may be just a coincidence, but the Canadian dollar got strong on, right? On the Friday before, on the Monday, right? Whatever. So it'd just be a coincidence. But really, I look at this, and this is R2. Okay. And now the thing is, if you're a bull, okay, I mean, come on, dude. If you're a bull and you're not planning this out, I don't know what's going on. What are you too busy doing? And that would mean oil prices falling again, right? I just couldn't imagine, like, if you're a bull on this and you're not planning something right now, I'm like, well, what is it that you do? I'm a bull. Well, yeah, okay, great. Are you? So anyways, this sets that up because this is next week's buy zone, so you might as well buy it now. So you got your front run. And then I have my doubts if we're going to go there, so that gets us to about here, and we'll call that a double top. So bears should be planning something like this next week. Yes, exactly right. Saudi Arabia cuts. Okay, let's do the first one. Break it down, baby. Break it down. Okay, let's do oil cuts first. The quantity of oil, right? Barrels, millions of barrels per day. Okay. And the price of oil in dollar. P sub dollar. Okay. Demand we will fix, okay, as a constant. Okay. Because this is short run. Short run, by definition, means one of the variables is fixed. So therefore, demand today is going to be the same. Right? Demand this week is going to be the same as demand next week. You can't come in and say, oh, well, everyone's going to be driving a Tesla and demand, blah, blah, blah. That's long run, bro. So demand is going to be fixed. Okay, so this is short run, meaning as long as demand is fixed. Okay, so let's say now supply is, let's do a different color. Let's do supply in green. Oh, by the way, why is the demand curve, and I'm shocked I didn't label this. Oh my God. Why is the demand curve down? Well, when prices are high, you don't want to buy very much. When prices are low, right, these are prices. When prices are low, you'll buy as much as you can. These are quantities, right? So let's throw down the supply curve now. We'll do this one in green. Okay? This is a supply curve, okay? And supply, but I'm going to label this supply 1. Okay, so this then creates an equilibrium price 1 and a quantity 1. Okay, cool. Okay, now we're talking about Saudi Arabia cutting their production. So now we have to reduce our production. So we have to go to Q1 to Q2. So this is going to look like this. Okay. So I'll show you this. What we've done is quantity is now shifted to the left to Q2. Less barrels per day, right? Quantity in barrels per day has gone from Q1 to Q2, which is less. So from 11 to 7 million barrels per day. Okay, follow this up and then go this way. And what's the consequence on the market? We went from price 1 to P2. So prices have gone up, supplies have gone down. Okay. So this goes to the question, so the Saudi Arabia is cutting back, that strengthens CAD because it's a commodity currency. Yes. So now oil prices are likely to go up. Who would likely benefit? Well, who are the exporters of oil? Saudi Arabia, Canada, C-A-N-A, Canada, Norway, okay, Russia, the rest of OPEC, okay, so on and so forth. Who's hurt by it? Anyone that's buying oil prices, anyone that is buying oil at higher prices. For example, Japan imports 99% of their energy. Oh, yes, sorry, USA. I'm not used to counting them as an exporter. The thing is, I'm not sure how much we're actually exporting versus just consuming. I think it's more of a substitution effect. Right? So now you can do price, quantity, and then we had this, a supply. Wait, I'd have to do it differently. You'd have to do, hang on, let me think about this. You'd have to do it this way. You'd have to do quantity of oil $1. Am I doing this right? So you'd have this, and then this would pivot. Right? And your tangent would move. Anyways, we're getting too far into the weeds. Anyways, yeah, so that's why. So you have to look at who's going to benefit from higher oil prices. Okay. But pachow. That's just technical analysis. Pachow. Right? So anyways, I hope you sold the heck out of this. I hope you're getting up. I hope, anyways, do what you got to do, brother. Yen-yens? Sure, we'll do some yen-yens. Yes, well, I was trying to get into that, though, Ed. It's more like it's not that we're exporting, we're just importing less. Which changes things, right? So I was hoping to check out Venezuela now that the borders are closed, the largest supply of energy in the world, yet their power has been off for 5 or 6 days. I was thinking about maybe checking that out. Well, Pharaoh, that Europe's problem is, first of all, their inability to make a long-term decision, and then B, they're really reliant on Russian nat gas. Cool. So, how'd we do here? Did anybody like this role reversal I drew for you? What do you think? Did it work? Well, it got us to here anyways. Cool, right? Up, 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 down, down, buy. Up, 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 up. And now we've hit the target. Wonder what's going to happen next. You think we're going to come back down? Yeah, no worries, Pharaoh. Yeah, it makes the Russian-European relationship a little complicated. And I think the Russians have an upper hand. So when you think of all the European countries, they can't even get together they can't even agree on how to divorce each other. I mean, it just takes so long to do anything in Europe. And of course, I don't like the socialist aspect of their capitalism, but whatever. But then you look at Russia, and there's like one guy in control, and he has a plan. Like, it's hard to compete, man. But yeah, Europe is reliant on Russia, I think, for natural gas and for cash. And I think the relationship is much stronger than what we see in the newspapers. But anyways, cool. So if you're going to treat this as a sideways move, you need to sell it up high. And if you're going to treat it like a trend, well, it didn't really give you the higher high you were looking for. It only got you to the top. And that's why I think you still at this moment have to consider it range bound. But if it kind of dipped off of this, for example, and then went up to the next level. So if it did this today, then that's cool. Now you got yourself a higher high. Game on. Well, I mean, one of the issues that Europe had or has had for a long time is it doesn't have its own energy. The United States has as much natural resources as it needs times 1,000. Europe doesn't. I mean, Europeans started looking to go abroad when they cut down all the trees. There was a time in Europe when lumber was more expensive than gold. Can you imagine getting off the boat in North Carolina and all you see is trees? I mean, for thousands of miles in all directions. So anyways, it just doesn't have any energy. So the First World War had nothing to do with the Archduke Ferdinand of whatever. It had to do with the British converting their navy, which was the nuclear weapons of the time. They converted their navy from coal to oil. So the Germans said, hey, well, we need to do that too. And then they looked around all their colonies and they're like, oh my God, we don't have any oil. So they started to build the Berlin to Baghdad Railroad, and that was enough to get the war going. So imagine going back then, Western Europe just doesn't have the energy. So where do they get the energy? Russia. And especially if you're going from like Baku, right? Baku and Iran, then you go north, and then you got to get through Stalingrad, what do they call it now? And then you got to get it west, and it's too difficult. You can't really do it by boat. You can't really do it by truck. It's just not that easy. So they built all these pipelines. And the thing is, pipelines are not that flexible, right? They're fixed assets. So now Europe needs the energy, and all the infrastructure is built. If they turn it off, where do they get their new energy, right? And they screwed up Africa. They had a chance. Europeans, Western Europe had a chance to do something with Africa and set up a whole supply chain of energy there. And the Europeans talked about it for about 12 years, if I call correctly. And then they were debating in their governments about, well, it's not fair to pay an African only $1 an hour while Europeans are earning $30 an hour. So we have to find a way to pay the Africans $30 an hour. And they did this nonsense and then did nothing. So China and America went into Africa and took it over as far as energy is concerned. So it's just, they just didn't do anything productive. So now they're reliant on Russia. So if you remember, maybe 8 years ago, there was an issue going on with Russia, and the Europeans were like, oh, Russians, you are bad, Russians. And the Russians are like, okay, we're going to turn off your nat gas. Oh, look, there was a problem, right? There was like, oh, there was a problem in Ukraine. This was before the Crimea. The pipeline broke down. Sorry, Western Europe, you have no energy. Like, it was just classic, like, wake up, Europe. Don't you mess with us, Europe. How many days would you like to go with no energy? So anyways, well, Chuck Duck says it's insane, but I'm not saying it was a good move. I'm saying they, meaning Western Europe at the time, had an opportunity to do something. They seriously talked about it, knowing that they're tied to the Russian energy infrastructure. They wanted to get out of it, and I think they talked about wages and they talked about air quality or something like, yeah, they really desperately need this oil from Africa, but they should pay Africans European wages and uphold Africa to European air standards or something. And they just decided, like, because that's not how capitalism works and global markets work. You don't want everyone to be exactly the same. There's discrepancies between economies, and you want the discrepancies. You don't want everyone to make laptops. You want someone to make laptops, someone to make bicycles, because one will make bicycles better than the other one, and the other one will make laptops better than the other one. And you should trade laptops for bicycles, and you'll get more bicycles per laptop or more laptops per bicycle than you could if you're making them both on your own. You don't want one state organization running everything, but that's what the Europeans were doing. They're like, oh, we have to pay Africans $30 an hour like we pay them in Europe. And you're like, well, you're not understanding the whole idea of free trade, because then if you just gave because here's the Africans are like, will you give us a job, please? Give us a job. Let's pump some oil. Come on, let's get some nat gas. Let's do something, Europe. And they're like, no, we can't do it because we'd have to pay you $30 an hour. You're like, $30 an hour? Dude, I'll take one or two. Let's go. Put me to work. I'm starving to death. No, we can't. It's too insulting to you. Hey, brother, I ain't insulted. I could use the work. My family's hungry. Oh, but your heir. Oh, Jesus, Murphy. So anyways, the Europeans didn't do anything. Socialism took over. And what happens? Everyone gets hungry really fast. Anyways, I don't know how you got me onto that, but it's not my fault. Yeah. See, that's why I like China, for example. They're like, this is our 5-year plan. We have it in writing. Here's the 5-year plan. This is what we're going to do. By the way, let's review what we did and not do in the last 5-year plan. We achieved this, this, and this. But we still have to work on that, and that. So therefore, here's our new plan. We're going forward. We're putting all our resources here. This is the direction. Watch us do it. What's the 5-year plan for the United States of America? Like, what's the 5-year plan for Europe? Right? The French, the Germans, and the British still don't speak to each other. You're like, right? Like, what's the 5-year plan, man? You're like, what? There's a plan? So, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. There's a 5-year plan? All I'm saying, no, America is definitely not perfect. So yeah, nothing's changed here, nothing's changed there. I'm just seeing if anything's radically changed. I mean, we've planned all these out day after day after day. Nothing's really changed, right? Bears are still selling here. Bulls, I don't know, are waiting for a higher high. Okay, if you're a bull, that's what you're thinking. And if you're a bear, you're watching this with great intent and furious angle. Oh, it's a secret plan? Yeah. I like actually what Trump's doing with his international trade. And when you listen to Bloomberg, which I'm surprised how liberal the media has gotten. And I'm not saying that because I'm political. I'm not political, but I believe, at least in my limited understanding back when I was a young man, that many news stations were not political. They didn't share point of views, and if they had them, they hid them. There were a few. Fox was always Fox, right? Fox was created to be conservative and all that kind of stuff. But you could get like CNBC and Bloomberg would just tell you what happened on Wall Street today, what the yield on on the benchmark is. But yeah, it's definitely liberal now. They're like, he crazy, right? Trump's crazy, out of control, unpredictable, foreign policy is going to send us all to the, But I studied game theory, and I think he knows what he's doing in a lot of the cases. Maybe I don't agree with how he's achieving each move, but it doesn't matter. The strategy. So let's say I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not even in the room when he's negotiating, so I don't know what his tactics are. But the strategy is pretty sound. And I don't know if the media doesn't understand it, and they just report their simpleton point of view to maybe simpleton people. Or if they're just anti-whatever. But so, for example, North Korea. He walks out of North Korea, right? So, oh, huge fail. I don't think it had anything to do with North Korea. I think he was telling China, which he's going to meet with, right? In a few, just let's say the month after that meeting, he just told China, bring a legit deal or I walk. And in that case, he just showed that he's willing to pull the trigger. So it changes the outcome of the next move. When you do game theory, right, what you want to do, because what you're going to do is predictable, right? Tit for tat, you can figure out the strategy, not tit for tat, follow, right? Follow, tit, right? So, but anyway, so the strategies are fairly straightforward and it's very predictable. Everyone can break out the tree and figure out what the strategy is and where we're going. And if someone makes a left turn, you can figure all that out. So you can do the math basically using game theory and Nash equilibrium and such, right? But it changes, right? So like, for example, if you play the game many times versus just one time, it changes how you play the game. Okay, so let's say you do a move, and you're China now. You do a move, but you're watching the United States play another game against North Korea, and they do a kill move on North Korea, and then you say to yourself, "I've seen them do the kill move. They're willing to do it, and if they did the kill move to me, I lose the game." Because you're dead. They did the kill move. You can't follow up a kill move with a kill move. You're already dead. So in negotiation, just believing that someone is willing to do a kill move changes how you play your move because you don't want to put them in the corner so that kill move comes up. It's how you do it. It's not the move you make that matters. It's the move you make and how it changes how the other person plays the game. Because it's just game theory, right? So now, so like prisoner's dilemma is a classic one, right? Do you admit your guilt or not, right? But whatever, you have to study it. Game theory is really interesting. And when you see the strategies that he's doing, he knows what he's doing. But you'll never hear that. I haven't heard it on Bloomberg, which is really actually kind of sad. I wish it was just more. It's like, how about less liberal, a little bit more, like more neutral. I'd like it to be completely neutral, but it's certainly not. Yeah. But see, like Chuck, I don't know if it was when CNN came out, it was like MTV, right? But I guess now MTV's that way. But whatever. I don't need to get on that. So, but more presidents of the United States got a degree from Harvard than any other school. Is that right, Russ? Funny. All right, so I got to go do some crazy math now. Yeah, I'm sure checked out. I got to do some crazy math now and stuff like that. So I hope you got your day trades in there, your weekly swings. Okay. But like you should be able to, like, this is a chart. You should be able to look at this and say your daily swings are not going to be that great today. And I'd already be planning tomorrow's trades. Okay. At this time of day, I'm almost not even interested in today. So I'm interested in today, like in Asia and Europe. In Asia, I'm trying to catch the fade. In the Europe, I'm trying to catch the top or bottom. New York, yeah, you can get a little scalp in there, but I'm really interested in tomorrow and next week. Yeah, I felt like this ended up being more of a cigar meeting, right? I'd really like to do that with you guys sometime. Meet up somewhere in the world, go to a cigar bar, and have a cocktail and just talk shop, talk politics, talk economics. Right? That'd be fun. Wouldn't that? Yeah, that would be in the swing trading course. Just take the swing trading course so you're on board. It's I don't know how many hours, 14 hours of videos, and plus you can work with me every day so we can go over all of that. Okay. My job here is to show you what strategies work so that you can focus on learning more about them. Whether you take the courses that I've made available, like not to sell to you, but it's available. If that's what you're looking for, you're like, oh my God, I want to do what Wayne does with his pivot points. It just fits me, my style perfectly. Good. Well, instead of everyone asking me, hey, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? How do I get more? I just put together a training program, so now you can just do it. So you can do it that way. But you're like, I ain't got no money. Okay, good, fine. Google. At least now, start Googling around. I don't know if Khan Academy teaches you pivot point trading and swing trading and stuff, but someone's going to. And at least now you know what you should be focused on. Like when I started, I didn't know anything, so I didn't know what I knew. Well, I guess in the beginning I knew nothing, and I knew that, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Like I didn't know what worked. I didn't know what didn't work. So I spent years discovering things that simply don't work. And much of it is the crap that people sell you. And I learned that, well, I didn't spend money on that, but what I saw other people do, I noticed in my trading just didn't work. So I got very skeptical early on. Plus, I was really angry. Like when I first started trading Forex was sort of, to me, like an angry thing. Nobody traded Forex. Nobody. Professional institutional investors didn't trade Forex except for a very small, rare breed. So I felt like it was old white men at the top of a skyscraper somewhere smoking their cigars and laughing at the little man. We're so rich, we do this Forex stuff. And it felt like a secret group. And I remember thinking, like, I didn't go to Harvard, all this kind of stuff. My daddy ain't, but now I am, right? Now I'm a currency trader. I do have a Harvard degree. I became that angry white man at the top of his bank smoking cigars. But you know what? I guess that's what I wanted. Chickens, goats. I'm married now, so anyways, chickens and goats. So what was I getting? It was a secret, and so I just kind of threw myself at it. It was a secret. There wasn't anything out there. It's pretty interesting to have to figure this out on your own. But I found a lot of things that didn't work. Oh, sorry, Russ. Yeah, fxbootcamp.com. To give you an idea, I think I saw on YouTube the other day that I've been uploading videos to YouTube for 11 years. Then I've been doing webinars at FX Street for 13 and a half years. So imagine 15 or 16 years ago, no books on Forex, no training courses on Forex. Your trading platform didn't even have charts. And someone just says, here's Forex, go figure it out. You know what I mean? Go figure it out. So I don't know what anybody else does. I love what I do, and I've never seen anything else that works. And I'm sure there's other things that work. And I bet you if we take what works, let's say there's another trader out there that, right? And then what I do, I think we would find some similarities. So they might, let's say, do Elliott Wave. I'm like, oh, great. Well, I use some Fibonacci and price action, so that's going to overlap. But you'll find, I believe, it's going to be like patience, discipline, right? A ridiculous, sickening work ethic would be the similarity, not what you do to make a decision to when to pull the trigger. I mean, the tactics is fairly easy. The strategy is either right or wrong, so even that's not that bad. So it's everything else that screws up, I believe. So I think two successful traders are going to be very similar, right? But remember how strange it was. Imagine like 15 or 16 years ago, like no one doing Forex, and you're trying to figure out Forex. Do you guys know Joseph Trezevani? He's a big shot now at FX Street. I know JT from many years ago. I hung out with him in Spain at a conference. I had dinner with him one time when he was running FX Solutions. I had dinner with him in New York City. Nice guy, very right. But he was telling me he was a taxi driver. No joke. He was a taxi driver in New York. I'm not laughing at him personally for being a taxi driver. I'm just like, what was the industry like 20 years ago, right? He was a taxi driver in New York City, and he's like, I think I should become a currency trader. I just love it. Like, first of all, that's New York. You're like, I'm going to be a currency trader. So anyways, gets a job as a currency trader, quits his taxi job, becomes a currency trader. I love it, right? So they're like, you're going to work in Bermuda now because all the currency trading was done offshore. He's like, what? I don't work in New York City? No, you're going to work in Bermuda. Oh, you'll like it. You don't have to wear a suit or tie or nothing. Just here's a plane ticket. Go to our office in Bermuda. Nice, right? So he gets to Bermuda. It's filled with hedge funds and banks and stuff, right? Well, he gets to know all the traders and stuff at all the banks because it's a small town, right? It's like 3 bars and 100 traders, right? There were 2 other guys trading currency. So he's like buddies with these 2 other currency trading guys. And they're like, yeah, we're currency traders. And that's how he learned Forex. I love it. I just love it. You're like, what do you do with your Forex guy? You're like, get rid of him. Send him to Bermuda. I don't know what to do with these currency trader guys, but someone's got to, hedge the Deutschmark because it was Deutschmarks, right? Isn't it funny? Like, that's where he started. I'm probably right behind that somewhere. I mean, I remember when the euro became more valuable than the dollar. I remember the moment it happened. So I've been trading longer than that. So, but right around that period, I think. But anyway, it's just amazing, right? So do you have to learn 10,000 ways that don't work? No. Is my way perfect? No, I love it. I think it's perfect for me. I haven't changed what I've done in 13 or 14 years. I've gotten a little better at it, and I've refined it. I can trade 1-minute charts. I can trade daily charts and everything in between. Long-term, short-term, great. Carry trades, great. So I know what I do works, and I don't know what anybody else does. So I'm kind of cool with that. But I'll share with you my way. And I think you'll find, because I'm a businessman first and foremost, I think like a businessman. I act like a businessman. And that's why things like planning out fundamentals and macroeconomics make sense. Planning out, which way the flow is happening around the world based on trade, who's paying more for a barrel of oil, who's going to make more money for a barrel of oil, where's that cash going to go, all that kind of stuff just leads up to fundamental trends. And right, use economic data to figure out monetary policy. That's all it is. Just understand monetary policy. What's the big deal? And the technical analysis, come on. It's not that hard, is it? I mean, yeah, well, try it for 13 or 14 years. If you don't blow up your trading account, you'll be really good at technical analysis. Some pivot points. You don't need moving averages. You don't need oscillators. You don't need your ADX, RSI. You don't need all that crap, right? I think you can do this. But the thing is, and here's sort of the value, I suppose. It probably won't take you 10 years to get pretty good at this, where I think if you were just on your own trying to figure this out, it might take you 10 years just to get decent. Now it takes you 6 months to a year to get decent. And then once you can survive, now you just have to get more experienced. And that you'll just get better and better and better and better and better, like seasoned wine. Cool. So again, please visit tradersway.com. Open up an account. Show your loyalty and respect. Traders Way guys made this happen for you. Show your loyalty and respect by opening an account. Pay it back. You can also download below this video, download my chart template so you can have this if you want. That's yours. Oh, I have this if you want. No, this one. You can have this if you want and all my other chart templates for free. Compliments of the firm. And don't forget, click the Forex.Today logo and subscribe to the Forex.Today channel. I will see you tomorrow. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Thanks for hanging with me today. Cheers.